Hi there, so we've got some, what I've been calling just slightly harder backtracking, where, are there any advantages to doing this over a regular method, and how does this help students? Well, okay, first of all, let's do it and then we'll discuss. So this is number 8 on page 44 of the course pack. So I'm going to say, all right, forward, backward. Okay, now in order to do forward, backward, in order to have something that we can reverse, I got to look and see, do I have a single variable collected into one spot there? Like I literally have like a single letter in my equation, and I do. Okay, so now I'm going to do my PEMDAS forward step. So I'm going to cover this up, and I'm going to work from the variable out. So first thing I'm going to do is add 1. Then I'm going to multiply 3. Then I'm going to take away 4. So I'm not going to be thrown by the fact that this negative 4 is out there first. I'm always going to kind of put my finger or my pen on my variable, and I'm going to work from the inside out, and I'm going to go in follow those order of operations that my teacher taught me in kind of my basic intro lessons. I start with my parentheses first, so I would add 1, then times 3, then I do my negative 4. Okay, or my minus 4. I could think of that as a minus a positive 4 too. Okay, so then I'm going to reverse. So then I'm going to invert that. So I've got plus 4, divide 3, take away 1. All right, and then I'm just going to apply these things to the 17. So I've got 17 plus 4. Well, it's going to give me 21. Then divide 3 is going to give me a 7, and then take away 1, I'm going to get a 6. And that's it. So I've just got n equals 6, and I'm done. Now, why is this nice? Well, when you get adept at this and used to thinking about this way, you can destroy some questions that would take a long time, and you probably wouldn't even get the answer right with the traditional method. I know, with a lot of students I have, there are a lot of errors. This one has a positive 3 distributed here. But, often when people are distributing over a negative, which means, they've got a negative sign out here on this, or they've got a negative sign on one of these, people tend to make sign errors on those. This really tends to really lessen that for a lot of students. And so, for a student that takes a little longer at learning math, I think this is nice because it allows them to avoid some situations that causes them some mistakes when they're distributing. And I think for a strong student, it allows you to do some things in your head where you can just amaze people, how the heck did you even get that so quickly? Because basically, what have I done? I've turned this thing into a bunch of easy integers, right? All this is, right? These are pretty easy operations here. So let's do kind of one more to kind of see the power of this. So here's one also from some of the homework. This is on page 45 in the course pack, and this is the kind of thing that if you saw it and you only had the traditional tools available to you, you might easily start crying, right? I got a bunch of kind of unfamiliar, some brackets here. But that's a kind of unfamiliar operator to me. This thing looks kind of pretty bad. Oh, whoops, sorry. Bigger there if you can see it. So there you can see it. And this doesn't look so nice, yeah? This is an E, by the way. It's good to use a cursive letter in situations like this so you don't get it confused with a number. So how am I going to tackle something like this? I mean, I can try and distribute this 4 from outside of this bracket if I even know what the heck that means. Then I'm going to end up with, I'd have 8 here, and I'd have a 4/9 in there, and then I'm dividing that whole thing by 3. It's looking pretty uncomfortable. It's the sort of thing I might, freak out and give up. And I don't know, but check this out with forward, backward. So here I go forward. Well, I'm going to start at my letter here. I'm going to work out from that. I'm going to follow those PEMDAS steps. Okay, well, the first thing I do is I divide 9 if I plugged in, yeah? Then I add 2. I divide that whole dealie by 3. I'm going to multiply that entire thing. So I worked out that inside, whatever it is I plugged in. I divided 9, I added 2, I divided 3. Then I multiply that whole thing by 4. and then I'm finally going to take away 3. So now my backward is I'm just going to invert all these from the bottom of my list. It's just my convention. So subtract 3 becomes plus 3, times 4 becomes divide 4, divide 3 becomes times 3, plus 2 becomes minus 2, divide 9 becomes times 9. Alright, so we got some bigger numbers here. I kind of doubt this is going to come out real nice, so I'm going to get out my trusty TI here. Now, the one thing that's important when you're doing this stuff is to make sure, absolutely, you press that equal sign every time, because if you don't, it's going to mess up your order again. Like if there's one thing you should get out of this is like how important the order is, because that's like how this whole thing works. I apply these steps in forward order, I apply these steps in the right backward order, and that's what makes sure I get the thing right. So I've got my 800, and I'm going to apply these steps to the constant. So I got 800, and then I'm going to add 3, and I'm going to check that off. So I got 803, check. Okay, now I'm going to divide that by 4, divide 4, check. Now, see, I already got this decimal, and we'll talk about how to turn that into a fraction here at the end. Okay, and then times 3, check, and then take away 2, check, and then times 9, check. So I got 5402.25. So, alright, good. So now, and we can check and see, does that work? I don't know if I like that. Let's see. So going backwards, so I've got 5402.25. If I were plugging it in, first I would divide 9. Then I would add 2. Then I would divide 3. Then I would multiply 4. Then I would take away 3. And I got 800. So, okay, it does work. So, scrolling back up, what we said our original answer was. How annoying. Okay, so 800 plus 3, enter. Divided by 4, enter. Times 3, enter. Minus 2, enter. Times 9, enter. So 5402.25. So E equals 5402.25. And when I was talking about the fraction, well, that's 5402 and 1/4, obviously. If your teacher wants it as an improper fraction and you don't feel like doing it and you're allowed to use a calculator, you can say math. My first option is frac, and that gives me 21,609 over 4. So any of those forms are different versions of the correct answer. Okay? Good.